Hey, I'm Alex, and today is going to be more of an add-on to my previous frames video which I made. It's more of a information tutorial rather than a how to do this tutorial. Nevertheless, it's also very important because things can go wrong and you may not know why if you don't know how frames work and things like that. So in my last frames tutorial, my original one, you might have noticed, you might not have, but I mentioned that blank keyframes are blank because they don't have anything on the stage or any coding in them. But I only showed you what happens to them when you put something on the stage. So I'm just going to show you what happens when you put... What happened there? That was very weird. Okay, I'm just going to show you what happens to them when you put coding into them. My computer laptop has decided to act up today, so I'm very sorry. But everything should work fine. So basically, all I'm going to do is add some coding using code snippets, and I'll probably have a future tutorial on how to use these. But this is just to show you what happens. So, don't know if you can see it very well. I'm just going to delete this layer because I don't need it. And I'll add some frames here so you can see it better. So you can see here how you have your normal keyframe, but there's this little A above the dot. That just shows you that it has coding in it. And coding is also called actions in Flash. And so it created there's a layer here called actions. And there's a little A above the little dot, which shows you that there are actions in it. But it is still blank. It's still blank because there's nothing on the stage. If I were to add something onto the stage, and it's really bad actually, because you really shouldn't add things onto the same layer or in the same frames. When you have coding in it, you should make a different layer. But I'll probably have another tutorial going into depth about that, but I'll just show you so you can see what happens. It just turns into a normal keyframe and the A is still there. So that's all still the same. Now you might have noticed here that when I changed one frame in this, all of them changed. Be very careful of that because this is what I personally call block frames, and that basically means everything in this frame, in these frames, are all the same. So anything you do to this frame over here, you're going to do to all of the other frames, and same with every single frame in this block. The only way to make a frame different from another frame is to begin, well, how I would say, begin a new block. And a block starts with a keyframe and ends with this little kind of rectangle frame. And you don't need to make that rectangle frame. Flash will make it for you at the end of your block, so don't worry about that. So if I wanted to say, I'm just going to get rid of this, make a new layer, get rid of these. So say I wanted to have my box here, and then I wanted to move my box in another frame. I can't just go here, move it, because that moves everything. So I'll just undo that. Now I have to insert a new keyframe, which I showed you how to do in the other video. And then I can drag it down, and then it can move. So that's how that works. So I'll just remove these frames. Remove frames. Alright, so, I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, not important. I can do it again. Something else I wanted to say was that when it comes to adding layers here, Flash does a specific thing. So I'm just going to insert a frame, which will make it into a block, and everything's going to be the same in here. I'm going to add my rectangle. There you go. Just move it. And I'm going to make a new layer here. When you make a new layer, you can notice that it creates a block. It's all going to be the exact same size as the one underneath. Now I can add keyframes to here, or frames, without adding it to the other layer, which will make, say I had, over here I had that color, I think that's like a greeny blue rectangle, and I wanted that to be there, but then I wanted it to stop being there after a certain time, but I still wanted my other rectangle. That's how you would do it. So you can have them, but they're always going to, when you make a new layer, be as long as your longest. So they're going to go as long as your very last frame. So you should definitely keep that in mind and realize that and kind of keep an eye on that, because if you wanted to do something like what I did with this box, then you really do have to keep an eye on it. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there thinking, why isn't this working? And that would be why. So there you go. Let me think. What else did I want to touch on? Yeah, I think that was it actually. So yeah, I hope you learned something in this tutorial. If I have again forgotten anything, or if you have any questions or anything, feel free to contact me. I have a Gmail account, which is alexflash504@gmail.com. So yeah, thanks for watching.